And this is what kicks off the third of the recent Underdark new expansions, right? So the first one was the North Dark Reaches, where we did the whole corruption of the Myconids and found that the Drow were involved, and there were two factions of Drow. Then we've gone and done this campaign involving the Whispering Post, where Jarlaxle took us in, and the Spy brought us in to, in theory, prevent like an all-out war, but I guess prevent the, really it's more like, it feels like it's more like the destruction of his people who are trying to, it really appears, take down the Lolth side of Drow society. And that involves two districts initially that we are in, learning about the Claw Rift, about the history of all that has happened there, and about a particular individual that is trying to manipulate events to gain an upper hand in that battle. With all of that resolved, we can go to Narbondellyn District. Now, as you can see, you can actually go there before you finish things, but so you can do both concurrently or whatever. But this did release after one could finish the other one. So we now get to go to a third district, which is really cool because it's going to involve all kinds of different art, as you can see. We get a nice little kind of introductory video here, and we get to, again, see Narbondellyn District. Now, one thing that's interesting, it doesn't say R.A. Salvatore here. So maybe they had talked to him kind of earlier and just felt like at this point we can kind of do one without you. But it does not carry his name, whereas the others did. Narbondellyn District, the estates of the various Drow houses are clustered beneath the plateau of Cuelar's Orl in the area called Narbondellyn, allowing the superiors of those Drow to literally look down upon them. There are a lot of kind of interesting words in Drow society, and you can hear them pronounced in certain ways. And then if you listen to R.A. Salvatore, who wrote all of the Drizzt Do'Urden novels, he pronounces them with a Boston accent. Some of the words he invented. So is that how it should be pronounced? I don't know. Menzoberranzan, should it be like that? I don't know. But they talk here a bit about the events of Out of the Abyss, where Demogorgon tore into Menzoberranzan and damaged a bunch of areas, but apparently did not impact the Narbondellyn district. These were called Broad Streets, this district. It still remains the bright center of Menzoberranzan, as the lesser houses vie to outdo each other in shows of wealth, power, and influence. Storing stalagmite towers and great manors rise above the area, which is also home to luxury shops, pleasure houses, and discriminating merchants. Okay. So we come into this really, you can see it's done up to be, fancy, right? Little like nice on the side. It's got these little mushroom garden areas. And then we have the Fey-Branche guard here. And we can see a couple of different NPCs and go to speak to Noori Baenre. So Noori Baenre, we know her last name, House Baenre, one of the very important houses in Menzoberranzan, and the house from which Jarlaxle came from, and a number of other NPCs that we've met in this whole 3-part series. So I've got so much to do. You look like someone who can help. Interested in getting your hands dirty? Oh, good. Maybe. Oh, good. My cousin has heard my plea for help. Listen, there's not much time to explain, so we should get started right away, okay? Okay. And I actually, don't know a whole lot about Noori Baenre. But hey, you know what we can do? We can look on the Forgotten Realms wiki, because I don't know a whole lot about her. Female highborn cousin to Trael Baenre. She was one of the few exceptions to the rule of only males at the College of Magic Sorcery, circa 1373 DR, the year of Dale Reckoning. She was permitted to study magic there rather than become a cleric of Lolth at Tinilith, the priest area. She was one of the Baenre magic users who Gromph Baenre, who we're going to hear a lot about, gathered during the siege of Menzoberranzan for an attack on Nimor Imphrasil through a scrying crystal. And these are all events from the novel Extinction by R.A. Salvatore. The siege of Menzoberranzan they're talking about was the city by the forces of Horgar, Steel Shadow of Gracklestew, and the Scoured Legion involving kind of Lolth politics, basically. And then Triel Baenre is the Drow priestess and matron mother of House Baenre. So she's, quite powerful and connected, and her involvement here is, no small thing. So yeah, let's chat and see what we've got here. Okay, I'm glad Jarlaxle sent you. Are you familiar with the plains? Yeah, we've plane hopped a fair bit. Particularly the Abyss? Yes. Not as much as we are with the Hells, but yes. Did we talk about this already? Weird question. Well, there are other planes of existence with different rules and how things work, different from here on Toril, which is the world of the Forgotten Realms. Recently, something has caused both planes to be connected in spots, and magic from the Abyss is seeping into our city. I've been studying it secretly with mages from House Fey-Branche to stop the spread. We actually cast a magic ward, but it failed terribly. A lot of people were hurt. Didn't mean to hurt anyone. I need to finish my research here, but need help locating some of the injured mages. So there's been sort of magic cataclysm in this neighborhood, and something about connecting the planes. And what we're going to find is she's not telling us the whole truth, so we kind of piece it together over time, which I think for a video game works fairly well. Here it makes it really untrustworthy. If this were a role-playing game, I'd be a little careful about how I'd try to rearrange it, I think, to be less where you might say, wait, I don't trust her, let's take her down or something like that. We are also told to recover Fey-Branche artifacts that have been lost. A new form of magic has shown up in the district. Well, it's new to us anyway. We've never seen anything like it, which means it can only be coming from one place, the Abyss. Okay. I started studying the magic before any of those stuffy old mages from Sorcier got here. I thought I'd be able to stave off this magic with a spell of my own, but the experiment blew up in my face. I mean that literally, by the way. The explosion destroyed part of the House Fey-Branche villa and scattered several of the family's most powerful artifacts across the district. That was before things started to get really out of hand. Okay, so find mages and bandage them up, find artifacts, but behind this is some major explosion that took place. And we can see what these quests are about in this very first building over here. You can see there's a bunch of bad guys, and hey, they say like, if we look at them, Fairn Elendar Drow, which doesn't mean a whole lot to us initially. And technically, I don't think we're even supposed to know the name. It's supposed to be a mystery of who they are. But we come here and we find, hey, here's an injured mage, and we bandage them up and send them back to join, which, I mean, they were just right next door, but okay. And then we see here some others. And, they kind of have kind of cool drow things. And when you fight with the drow, you kind of see like, hey, there's the summoner drow. There's the beam of controlling stuff kind of drow. And, straight up damage like melee guys. And then, summoned stuff like a Hezrou. But it's kind of fun. And hey, look, there's a magic artifact bow apparently. And now I've collected it. So that's pretty much what these first two quests are about. We're going to do that a bunch of times and we're going to turn it in. So, one last thing we then get to do after those first initial quests, go through the tear. We have to rescue a person, one of the mages recruited by House Fey-Branche, who has come to be pulled into an abyssal tear that has been occurring throughout the city. So this gets kind of our first chance to go into an abyssal tear. Kind of a smart way to do it. We're going to come here, we're going to talk to the person who knows what happened, and there's research to be done, so they tried to go in there, the scholar Sabmurus, and basically went missing inside of this abyssal tear, which one would think would lead to the abyss, unless it's strangely leading to like a partway demiplane or something like that. It's a little bit weird, but okay. So we come to this rift, and it's a kind of a variation what later we'll find is part of the hunt system in this adventure, where we are going to attack a special foe, usually do it in a whole party. So we'll see how well this goes for us. It can be quite difficult. So we'll just kind of equip some stuff. We'll hope for the best. Let's see how it goes. You can see lots of health. It's a Balor. Has the huge flaming sword. It's tearing into me. It can strike fear in me when it does that thing. So I kind of have to try to dodge it, which I did. My companion is going to often be sort of dazed and unable to help me when this kind of thing happens. It's also close proximity, so getting away is hard. It can teleport around a bit, which makes it also quite hard. So far we're doing pretty well, but running out of dodging will make it hard to kind of get away and avoid the well. But we're getting there. I'm feeling good, feeling confident. Ow. Quit it. That hurt. Hey, there we go. Valors explode, so you gotta run away from them. So, okay, so we take out that kind of horrible creature was there, and then we get to speak with Sabmuris Zaret. And apparently she's researching these kinds of rifts. Glad that she got rescued by us. It gives you a little bit of that Drow culture thing that she didn't think anyone would bother rescuing her, right? Just sort of the way it goes in Drow culture. Okay. And you'll see later when you tell people like, oh, I saved this person. They're like, yeah? Oh, you really did save them. We didn't think you would. Okay, that's how it is here. It's not a lot of strong love like that. Not the place to find the best parents, usually. So we come in, and we, oops, not this person. We come to this person, and you see they're like, what? You found her? Oh, yeah, very good. You know, kind of like whatever. It's like, you told me this was really important. I did that. So now we're going to get two more initial quests here. One is to activate 4 magic wards that apparently they're trying to prevent the spread of abyssal magic and these rifts. And she also is kind of saying like, hey, now that you've proven yourself a bit, and because Jarlaxle says I can trust you, hey, you know what? This is not a random event. No, I didn't cause it, but my cousin Gromph Baenre, he's the one and only Archmage of Menzoberranzan. He's the wizard responsible for channeling magic into the Narbondellyn and turning into a clock every day. And, you know, hey, I'll tell you more. Go check on these ward crystals. So what's really going on here is Gromph Baenre, who is the same guy who has been behind some of the, well, in the Out of the Abyss adventure. He's the main person responsible for this interaction with the Fezrus. And it's only later that we learn, spoiler, Lolth is behind over it, guiding his hand. Then if you play the Neverwinter content where it's based on Out of the Abyss and you go to fight Baphomet and you've got this big sort of weird clock mechanism, he's kind of a person involved in that. And now he's involved in this in some way. He caused this doing something. We're going to kind of unravel or gain the confidence of Noori, Baenre, and others to learn what happened. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to get this quest to close down some tears. And this is a quest that will have weekly implications later. Kind of, you'll do it every week. But for now, it's kind of like, hey, go and do 4 of these as sort of your initial quest. So let's do a quick ward so you can sort of see what it's like. You've seen kind of what a rift is like, and maybe we can do another one later. But let's go do one of these wards so you get a feel for it. This one's a quick one. Run through this pretty courtyard. Come up here by these towering mushrooms that are all phosphorescent. And hey, look at this. It's a little ward that we can activate. So for some reason, a hero is needed for this thing we just did. Hey, we did it. So we're going to do 4 of those. It takes us through the city. So I guess we might as well do those just so you can get a bit of a city tour. You know, these groups are here, and as we saw before, they're kind of groups that get repurposed, right? We talked about that in the previous module, that one group will have like banners, and also another one will have captives and supply crates, and sort of whichever quest you have, you know, it triggers off of one of those groups. We'll let that patrol guy go by, and we'll take out this group here as quickly as we can. Hey, that was quick. And we go over here and activate the Abyssal Ward. 2 down, 2 to go. But again, it gives you that appreciation of the city. Kind of neat how they weave these different pieces in. That ward looks really cool for sure. Somehow doing something way up there. You see that's one of the rifts there that you could go and with other people explore, work on. Lots of demons from the Abyss who are hanging around on street corners, which this time it doesn't look like they're hired. This time it's like bad, right? Like the other Drow don't want this to be the case. So that's kind of, it's sort of funny. Like it was okay in the other neighborhood. In this neighborhood, it's because things are out of control. Okay. Neat. I mean, I think this is just such a neat little passageway. And I like that a lot of these are houses you can now go into to do different quests. That's pretty cool. But in this case, we're doing these 4 wards. We've got to do stuff out here. Ow, I'm getting killed. Stop it, that hurts. Not in the face, thank you. So it can be really tough sometimes. Okay, Blade Master. Stop hurting me, it hurts. I don't have a lot of hit points when you do that. But I can get out of the way and run away from you sometimes. Okay, so our next to last ward. And now we'll need to go to the northwest of the city. So you see it's kind of a big block, the map, with some areas kind of up here that you can go to later. You kind of, it's nice, they concentrate you in one side, right? That's a really smart thing to do. Start in one little area, then expand. So we're gonna go over to that other side, running this way. One interesting thing is, you know, that we're working with the Drow, and like, hey, here's Fey-Branche Drow, totally fine. But there are these other Drow. So we start seeing that, you know, the mobs of things that we fight, it's not like before where it was like, well, all Drow don't like you. This is like real, you know, something's going on. And in fact, I forgot, Seal Abyssal Tears isn't the general tears, it's these special little tears here. So we've got a quest to do this, and there's like a trapped mage inside of these little areas. So we can do that while we're getting the last, what's it called? While we're getting our last ward. Hello, trapped mage. Don't mind me, I will help you. Yes, I'm the kind stranger that frees you from being in some weird abyssal ward, which you should definitely not be in. Alright, so here we go. We've got some more demons there. I run out of the way of their big explosion. Succubi. And these Drow from this Farron Elendar. Sounds very Lord of the Rings-ish. And then to either side, there's this weird, another type of tear, which looks really bad. Like giant. It looks like the opposite of the ward we're creating, right? So kind of interesting. I don't know if that's purposeful or what. I don't know if these guys are going to let me approach. I think not. No, I didn't get away with it. Okay, so you got to fight them. The other thing that's interesting is, so I don't know what this is sort of suggesting, but you might see beyond this sort of like screen, I think they're trying to say that's the abyss maybe, and like you can kind of go through, but you can sort of run around elsewhere. I wonder if this was something that they intended this being like, hey, here's how you get to the abyss. But then they maybe like decided, no, that doesn't work map-wise. So it's sort of like you can come through here and, you know, it looks like you're in the abyss, but the reality is you can run around other ways and do that too. So in fact, you can just go through right here. You don't even need that little portal, right? So I wonder if they just kind of changed their design at some point versus having it like this is the giant abyssal gate. We'll see if maybe there's some sort of story angle off of it that explains it. But for now, we have done our quest, and we are going to return to talk to Noori. And, you know, it's good in quests, whether it's video games or otherwise, to keep things a little interesting and changing, right? So we started from Noori and got these quests. If we just always come back to this one location, it gets a little old. So they're going to move us around. So, you know, they're safe. His Mythal, she says. I should just tell you. When I said I cast a spell to stop his magic, it was more of a device than a spell. So, you know, there's just these kinds of levels of things. So now we're going to go meet with the matron of House Fey-Branche, Halavin. So these two houses, Baenre and Fey-Branche, are working together. She knew that Matron Halavin of Fey-Branche would keep things quiet. I am not fond of Drow politics, man. That's like a fish saying not fond of water. She knows that if she assists House Baenre, it will bode well for her entire house. My research is a cover story. This is more about stopping the spread of magic. I wasn't using a spell the Mythal Gromph created cannot be stopped with any spell I can cast. It's too powerful. And we saw Mythal before in the Dragonbone Veil videos. If you saw that, there was a Mythal involved there. They're super powerful Forgotten Realm sort of like magic engines that are tied to sort of the realms itself. They're super powerful, allow casting incredibly powerful spells. So changing the very fabric of magic requires something of Netherese design. That's where the Mythals originally come from, and allow for things like the floating cities we've talked about in previous videos. After delving deep into the oldest archives of Sorcerer, I found plans for something called the Realm Engine. Okay, Realm Engine. It is a meta magic apparatus capable of manipulating arcane energy in various ways. We got one up and running, but we didn't properly tune it. Fluctuations from Mythal rendered it useless and caused it to send a shockwave through the city. The burst was so powerful it blew the house apart and then bent the space-time around it. Those who fled not only abandoned the engine, they left behind the schematics we used to build the blasted thing. I believe an adventurer like you may be able to return to House Fey-Branche and locate the plans. Please head to the Fey-Branche safe house and speak with Matron Halavin. Okay, so Fey-Branche and Baenre were working together. Because of Gromph, somehow he was using a Mythal, so they tried to, I guess, stop it with this Realm Engine, which can manipulate arcane energy, maybe to stop the Mythal, but it didn't. It instead caused everything to blow up. But I think the idea is, help me try again, is I think what they're saying. But, this is kind of neat, so we change locations. We run down this way. It's a nice straight shot down. Can't get too lost. Again, look at that cool architecture. Totally awesome. You can see the clock in the distance. And run past some good Drow who are right near bad demons. Don't know how that works. And again, a neat house of House Fey-Branche. And here we find their safe house where they are trying to do some good work. And we talk to the new Fey Mother. Okay, Noori has sent you. And then we get weekly quests. So do heroic encounters. For whatever reasons they come up to explain, do a bunch of things that end up to percent completion, just like the last time, and do hunts in Menzoberranzan. And so now doing those hunts will kind of unlock things. And then we get some additional quests, recover lost artifacts. We already did that one. We're already repeating things. Locate and bandage injured mages. They kind of rotate, so I think we could have gotten something new, but those two are just total repeat quests. And we can just kind of see there's some interesting things here. Like, hey, you've got a piece of a rift isolated. Okay, that's weird. You have a troll who's apparently selling food for you. It's interesting, kind of weird location made to look very Drowish. And yeah, the kind of different vendors that the game uses. But from here, we can launch our expedition. So we'll do these boring repeating quests. And then we will unlock more story parts and resume later. Okay, we're going to do an Abyssal Hunt in the Narbondellyn area. And the way these hunts work, we've got a party of adventurers, stalwart adventurers, some from the guild, some from the alliance, some from zone chat. And we come to a little modifier area here, which someone already started. You interface with this crystal standing on this little floating rock. And you can suggest a modifier, one or more, that do different things. Something negative, something positive. So in this case, we can get more drops, but the enemy will hit harder. And I'm just going to do one and see how this goes. Now we see we're going to fight a Hezrou Hunt. It gives you a little bit of ideas of story. And then we come in to open the door and go into the area. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, you see there's each of these bosses, they have kind of a neat thing they'll do, something interesting. We try to hit them with all our best attacks. And if things go well, as they are now, we take them down. And if you can take them down, you get some of this currency, which is good. And then you get to go to chest and get a reward, which includes Abyssal Fragments, some AD, because there's a Battle Pass event, and there's a Battle Pass experience that you get that goes towards the sort of campaign that's going on. And then we go to our map again, and we find, what is the next Abyssal Hunt, and we go out through the door. You can appreciate the awesome scenery. Looks like Lucky already is going in this direction. run past the lizard patrols, which they'll probably come and attack us. One thing that's interesting I've noticed about these is if you come out of the zone after having started it, it will cause this zone to kind of die. So you want to stay in the zone and not run out of it, because you will cause it to end. Like, it'll still show up as a rift, abyssal rift here, but it won't work. And lore-wise, what's going on here is the idea of these rifts to other dimensions. And this exists in a number of different products. In some form or another, the idea of a demi-plane, of a tear between worlds, a portal, a gate. These rifts are sort of like a combination of gate, but a gate that's happened because of something powerful, some sort of spell. A little bit like with the elemental planes, there's the concept that when you are in the elemental planes, when you're in the natural world and there is something kind of magical about the world, this will cause, like say there's a beautiful waterfall that could cause a gate to the plane of water. So now we're going to fight a Manticore. Yeah, so that's the idea behind these abyssal things. Someone wove a powerful spell in this area that has caused the these rifts to open, and of course behind it all, we're going to find out it's Lolth, because that's how it is. Our group is doing pretty well. So these are small, lesser hunts, as they call them. So we're doing pretty well. So we can either add more modifiers or go to another, go to a larger hunt, which also features more difficult foes. These maps all reuse the kind of little areas of dungeons that are found in other parts of the game and repurpose them. It's such a neat environment to be in, that's for sure. All these neat looking cities. So this is, you see that it kind of shows normal here instead of the lesser side. There's also these graders that have the spikes around them. So this is a normal one like we're going in now, and then a grader. So we'll step it up to normal. Should be pretty good. And in this game, you have to do a certain number a week to fulfill a weekly quest. So it's a nice way to get together with your guild, your alliance, and do a bunch of these. And the story behind it is we're closing these portals off that are opening and threatening the city because these horrible things might come through. So by going in, we're defeating the foe and causing the rift to shatter. It's an interesting bit of lore that I don't know that really has any foundation. The idea that like killing this creature would close the rift. Not something I'm familiar with, but that's fine. Let's see, we got one more person coming. But yeah, it's a neat idea. For a game, it works perfectly, right? Just that concept of being able to do that. So each of these little rifts, one thing that's interesting is in theory, these should be rifts to the abyss. However, they look like rifts to a demi-plane. I don't think there's any lore that's fundamentally backing that up. I think that's just how the game is expressing it, right? They don't want you going to the abyss and running around the abyss. They want you dealing with a foe. One could perhaps think of it as a demi-plane in between the abyss and here, maybe as a way to try to explain it, but it's not really truly an explanation. So this is the Goristro. So we're facing off against this demon. Most of them are demons, not all of them. I mean, the Manticore is sort of a strange mate. It's supposed to be like a demonic, what do you call it? Like a demonic Manticore, because Manticore is a beast, magical beast, rather than being a demon. But maybe that's just kind of some fun they're having in the game. Here, the Goristro, we're actually, facing an actual demon, which I always love the way these guys look. Oh, look at that. One shot took me out. We don't have a tank. This game has the rolls are puts me down for so long. Really kind of funny. So it's good to get away from those red zones when they're tough like this. But there we go. Now we got him. Hits hard, but goes down smooth. So because we've got two different modifiers. We got both benefits, and the rewards can sometimes be better. Not in this case, but you know, they can be. So yeah, that Goristro sure charged me hard. And I was gonna say, you can see the rolls kind of to the left of the names of everybody. So the little fighting kind of swords that are on it above everyone mean that we're mostly DPS, and we've got one healer, the first character there. You also see a little skull next to my name. That's my death penalty, so I'm going to flash through here and get rid of it by going to a little campfire. So when you die, just as in 5th edition or 4th edition, you take a penalty to your stats. So I got rid of that by going to a little portal to rest. So it does make fights hard when you are in a situation where you would take a lot of damage. Then that causes you to be worse and worse. So it's something to watch. You don't want to be so bad on your death penalty, multiple death penalties stacking, that you end up being just terrible. And the same is true in other editions of the game. This almost feels like the astral plane in some ways. It could be, the idea is sort of like the astral plane, maybe, or a demi-plane, but then you're on another demi-plane, so it doesn't quite hold up under scrutiny, but hey, that's fine. All right, Rotoip, the Iron Hide, a Gorgon, monstrosity covered in iron plates, noxious fumes, and it says the portion of the abyss that is, so we're in the Demonweb pits is the concept, so cool. Hold on, so it's a fun idea. I forget what the Gorgon is like, so we'll find out. The paralyzing gas can be bad if it's like other Gorgons. It can just take you out of the equation for a while. It also, as you can see, charges you. There it went, charging off. But we're doing a good job. We're taking it out here. Oh, trying to back off. Yep. There's those charges. Yeah, we're doing really well against this guy. Excellent. Very good. All the currency, all the stuff. And I got that done. So we're going to fight Selk the Beholder. And this is in the depths, the home of the Myconids. You'll recognize this map from my other videos that I did about the Northdark campaign. So kind of cool. I always love Beholders. I think they could actually be a little more lethal. Like, I'd like them to be, in this game, as lethal as the dragons, right? That their eye rays would really kind of mess with you. They're not bad, but they could be truly, fearsome, and they aren't truly fearsome, so... But I'm still going to dodge them, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you can see Selk going down very quickly here as we just tear into him. Bah! But, alright, so here we're going to capture another set of things that we can do in their Narbondellyn District. We can do several heroic encounters. There are 3 heroic encounters. And one of them takes us to this kind of abyssal infused area, and this kind of very wild area full of all kinds of demons. And we come in and we take down all of these demons. This one's called Fiendish Finish. So we can just kind of attack all these various demons until we take down enough of them. We have to take, there's a percentage that you've got to accomplish. And when we take enough of them down, then we move on to the next phase to have this kind of big major, what do you call it, a Hezrou demon shows up. So you see that rift appears, and here is Gorlag the Bone Crusher. When you have a number of people doing this event, it goes very quickly. So that was the end of it. Gorlag Bone Crusher was in fact himself crushed. I pick up my little currencies. Because I did a heroic encounter, I can get extra favors and things like that. And now we all race, all of us in our funny collection of mounts, all race to the next location. And you kind of just go in a cycle around. So we'll see the next one, which is abbreviated as Portal. It's also a nice opportunity to see the beauty of the city. Always a lot of fun. You can see the person in front of me there has an apparatus of Qualish mount. That's kind of fun. Barlagura mount there, and demon. We're getting chased by various things. So in this one, it ties directly. The other one is just sort of like, hey, there's a lot of abyssal stuff bad. But in this one, the idea is directly related to our main quest. So there are groups of the Drow from this Faer'n Elendar group who are causing, who are in the middle of a ritual. Now, I'm not going to revive anyone here because when we die, which can happen, we can just go right back to that campfire that was right outside. So it's faster and better to just reset your character than not have any death penalty than to have someone resurrect you. You see there are these crates of equipment. Those come into play later. But right now we just got to take out the Drow that are causing trouble with the kind of machine that's in here. There's this portal machine that is somehow causing problem. And there's an NPC that comes out here. I forget which of the NPCs it is. I'll see if I can catch them when they wander around. But they tell us about sort of this little miniature version of whatever of the device is. And how that figures into things. So that basically there's two real phases to this. The first is to take out a bunch of Drow. They come in waves because the Drow are securing this area and probably manipulating the forces of this thing. So you'll see, over there, this NPC saying, we'll fix it, we should start soon. So assistance, it's just a mage, it's not a named person. Once we've cleared the area of Drow, there are these crates that are here. And we'll all kind of try to pick one, if we can, and collect parts out of the crates. The idea is that we're going to fix this Proto Engine. So we can pick more parts up. Sometimes people will do these, other times they forget. Now we've collected all of them, and somebody can come to the central area, someone I think already started, and activate this piece. So now I'll do the next step. You see that rift showing up. What this rift does is it releases sort of waves of energy that we can use to weaken this Demonweb pit boss, essentially a Balor demon that's there. So there's already someone on it. You see that activate. There's sort of two phases to it. You use it and then you activate it, something like that. Or you set it up and then you activate it, basically. What that does is it weakens this demon, so the demon takes way more damage. So you see me there activating the engine again, but I don't really need to do it now. We've killed him. Once that has taken place, the demon is defeated. We activate it one more time, and the Proto Engine will release a wave of energy. There it is. And we get our rewards. Sometimes it includes, gear and stuff like that that's highly coveted and sells for good money, well, AD, astral diamonds, and that's it. So one more heroic encounter we will do. We run back this way and go to the one called Chaos, and this is where Gromph, Baenre's assistant, is trying to work with Drow to summon something out of a big rift. So we can come here and we can harvest abyssal magic. Not really clear what we're doing there. Why? What do we really? I don't know. Anyway, we've done enough. The next thing is defeat enough of these Drow, so we're just gonna take them down here. Do that. Once we've defeated this second wave of Drow, then we're gonna have to face Gromph Baenre, the Drow is our main villain in this plot so far. So there's Gromph's apprentice. You can barely see him. He is a Drow kind of in here in some sort of large form. But as before, he will die very quickly in this smaller heroic encounter. So both of these, we did two small encounters flanking the main large one with the pit boss, the Proto one. That Proto one is... here's an example of a fun item that we got. And those sometimes sell for a lot, sometimes they don't. Those are the three events that we do, and you can just do them over and over again until you've done all the various rewards you have, and then when you're done, with your weekly quests and a certain amount of them, like running those completed for me, the weekly event, and I can turn that in for currency to advance the campaign. And apparently I also have the ability to level up my character. We talked about this before. Let me first make some space here. That when we come here, a lot of times, there's the quest that we have, and then in the campaign itself, sometimes it'll improve our character with what's called boon points. It's the equivalent of sort of a mini version of leveling up when you've already reached level 20. It's almost like epic boons. Maybe they use the words from there. I don't know. But I collect this. I get a boon point. And then I can go to my character. And I can modify something in a tiny, tiny bit. So, I can do whatever. Critical avoidance. So now I have a tiny % chance. Less likely to be crit upon. That's how it goes. So we have now come close to as much as we can advance this week. We're still pretty far away from the next step in the ladder, but we turn in quests until we accomplish that. So we'll do more next time once that happens.